Okay.
Hi guys. Now how do I...
I'll get that up.
Hello, is anybody out there in Facebook land? Just give a few people some time to hop on. Hey, I'm watching. How come we've got that big thing at the bottom? Trying it. Ooh, you can see my dirty jumper.
You got an extra person.
Yes. I'm trying the whole landscape thing. I think you can see too much, including my dirty jumper, but we'll see. Oh, anyone do anything interesting over the Easter break other than sitting at home eating lots of Easter eggs? Alright, remember to say hello so I know that you're there and I know who's watching. Alright, today I'm going to deviate a little bit from the standard cake decorating. Hi Jane. I'm going to make some muesli bars for you. So this recipe actually comes from my Year 7 cooking cookbook from when I was at Melrose High School. So this is a Melrose High School circa 1989 recipe. So that's how old it is, and that's how long I've been making it for. Quite often the recipes you make at school are some of the simplest ones to make. All right, so I will post the recipe shortly for you. It's fairly straightforward, and you can do a lot of modifications to it as well. First thing I need to do is melt my butter. The recipe says margarine, but you know, back in those days we used cooking margarine for everything. And some honey. Just want to show you a little trick with measuring out the honey. If you just rinse, works for golden syrup as well. If you just rinse your spoon or your measuring implement in water first, oh, it's a cold morning today, you'll find that it slides off a lot easier. Alright. I much prefer jars of honey, but in this household it's got to do with what's got gluten in it and what doesn't, and because of the rolled oats in this, it's not gluten free. In saying that, you can use rolled rice if you want to instead of rolled oats. Okay, so I'm just going to pop this in the microwave. I have a cat wanting to encroach on the kitchen bench right now. Alright, just going to pop this in the microwave. And I think it'll take about a minute. Now, into my mixing bowl, I need to put a cup of coconut. I need a cup of brown sugar. I feel like a TV chef with everything pre-measured. A cup of rolled oats. And a cup of self-raising flour. Hi, Rachel. Now, with all the shortages around flour and stuff at the moment, I just wanted to show you guys a little trick. I mean, a lot of you might be aware of this, some of you might not, is that if you only have plain flour, you can add baking powder to your plain flour. So, for every cup of plain flour, you add 2 teaspoons of baking powder. So, I use the Mackenzie's because it's gluten-free. This guy's a little half teaspoon measure. There you go. And now my plain flour is self-rising flour. I don't particularly like a lot of gluten-free self-rising flour because it's very squeaky. It has a very high corn flour content, so I do that all the time. I only ever buy gluten-free plain flour. But this is normal glutinous flour. Okay. So just by mixing that together first, it means that you're going to be less likely to get clumps of butter. Alrighty. Now, you've got to add an egg. Recipes say pre-beat your egg, but I'm going to show you how I cook. So, chuck the egg in there. I like to mix that in a little bit just so I don't have the hot butter coming straight on top of the eggs, because I don't particularly like scrambled eggs in my muesli bars. So just working that around. Here's my butter and my honey. Hi, Courtney. Pour that in. Okay, so this is your base. So from here, once you've got all this mixed through, and you can do this with your hands if you really want to, and it'll all stick to your fingers, and you've got a really good excuse to eat it. From here, you can add a lot of variations. So I'm going to add chocolate today because this is the Sturzica household and we all like chocolate. You can add like 2 tablespoons of peanut butter to this. You can add dry fruit, you can add nuts, you can add seeds. It's a very, very versatile base. Okay. And you can see it's starting to look less floury and more mixed together. Just going to leave it there for a sec and cut up my chocolate. Now, if you have chocolate chips, go for it. If you have a block of chocolate, you want to use that, just chop it up. I tend to grab whatever we have in the shop. This is just the kibble. Now, if you wanted to leave chunks like this in the muesli bars, go for your life. It makes it a little bit more difficult to cut up. So slightly smaller chunks of chocolate will make it easier to cut up. Now, this is theoretically about half a cup of chocolate, but I just kind of grabbed. It's probably more like a cup. As I said, this recipe is fairly straightforward. Yes, Courtney, I will post the ingredients list, and of course you can use Easter eggs in this if you want to. One thing I will say about Easter egg chocolate is it tends to have a lot more sugar in it, so it may burn a lot easier. I'm saying may. I've never put, oh, that was my oven up to temperature. I've never used Easter egg chocolate. Jane, of course you can make these. You take the average Year 7 student in a Year 7 class. Yeah, you can make these. And that's literally all there is to it. So now, the really, really complicated bit. I have my tray. This is a slice tray, okay? So this is what I would refer to as a single serve slice tray. My hand span is 20 centimetres or about 8 inches. So this is about 7 inches by about 9 inches. This one's a Wilton pan. You can get a slice tray in Woolies. Push the baking paper down. I find that the muesli bars is so dense that you don't really need to stick it down. Oh dear. Jane, how did you fail home ec at school? Seriously. Alright. I used to fight with my home ec teacher a lot. Then you just spread it all out and squish it down. Just like that. So, back in the dark ages when Stefan and I first got married and we couldn't afford his 4 packets of muesli bar habit a week thing, so I started making these for him back then, and yeah, haven't looked back. I don't think I've bought store-bought muesli bars since. So when it's cooked, you can cut it up into small pieces if you want, or you can cut it up into like muesli bar pieces. If you put fruit and stuff in it, you could spiffy it up a little bit by drizzling chocolate over it. This will take about 20 to 30 minutes, so I think 25 minutes is my standard. I'll just pop this in the oven. There you go. So that's in the oven. Yeah, Sam, it's a really, really easy one, and you can change it up so much. If the recipe says, the actual recipe that I copied out of my Falling Apart recipe book from 30 plus years ago, it has honey and raisins and chopped nuts and chopped apricots and sesame seed and peanut butter. We've used all sorts of chocolate in it. You can do whatever you want to it, and you can even, if you really want to, dip the bottoms in chocolate. It's just a really easy recipe. I've never tried to make it as cookies, but I'm sure you could just roll them into cookie balls as well if you wanted to. Yeah, so literally, how long's that? With me gas bagging, I have no idea what the time is. That's all it takes. That's probably the first time in about 4 years that I've actually made that. Emily's taken over the reins of making muesli bars generally in their house because of the gluten factor for me. But it's very simple. Yes, absolutely. I'll post the recipe. What I'll do is I'll wait till they're out of the oven, and then I'll take a picture of them out of the oven and I'll post the recipe for everybody. But it's really super simple. It's pretty much a cup of everything. It's a cup of self-raising flour, brown sugar, coconut and rolled oats. Then it's 100 grams of butter, 2 tablespoons of honey, an egg, and then whatever you want to flavour it with. 7 minutes. So Facebook says that this took me 7 minutes to make whilst I was talking to you rather than just dumping it all in and go. It's one of those recipes that when you start, you turn the oven on just before you start mixing the ingredients and you see whether the oven wins, whether it's up to temperature or not, or whether you win if you have to wait for the oven to come up to temperature. So guys, questions. Hit me with questions because that was ridiculously short. I just thought that's a really simple one to do with the kids. If you've got little ones at home, once that butter has started to mix through, the mixture cools down very quickly so they can get their hands into it as well. It doesn't have to be done with a spatula. Depends if you want kitty fingers in your food or not. Oh, okay. Oh, so Kay's saying that her mum used to make it and she called it her mock nougat slice. There you go. Can you cook it in a silicone tray? Yes, you can. My big issue with silicone is that it moves. So especially if you're cooking anything cookie-like and that, you still need to put your silicone tray onto a firm surface. So you put your silicone tray onto a cookie sheet because whilst it's fine before things are cooked, sorry, I have a cat issue again. Once it's fine before things are cooked, if you take it out of the oven in a silicone tray and there's nothing supporting it, it'll bend and it will crack your slice. So silicone, absolutely fine. Just make sure you have it on a metal tray going into the oven because then it's got support when you take it out. Hello, Kylie Daddy, how are you? This would be a good one for your boys to make. They'd eat it in 5 minutes. Oh, you can see me leaning on the bench. How professional of me. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to leave it there. As I said, once it's out of the oven and cooled enough for me to cut, I'll cut it up and take a photo of it. And I'll post the recipe with the photo. So that shouldn't be too long. I've been waffling for another 3 minutes, so it's due out of the oven in another 22 minutes. So Thursday, today is Tuesday. On Thursday, I will do the cake with the buttercream, making it a nice smooth edge and do a watercolour effect on it. Then next Tuesday, we're going to do our next play along Facebook Live. I've made a category on the website so you can see all the bits and pieces that if you need to order anything, they're all in one spot for you. If you are ordering and you're ordering cupcakes, please remember to tell me what flavour cupcakes you want and what day you want delivery. If you don't specify, I'll just deliver them as soon as possible, but you will have to keep your cupcakes in the freezer till we need them. I think that's about it. So, have a go with your muesli bars. Do some different flavour variations. I'm sure you guys can think of some really cool ones. We get a bit boring here and do chocolate, 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 and more chocolate. And yeah, I'll post the recipe and the photos shortly. All right, guys, see you later.